Hi, all. Hey, guys. Let me do this. All right. Can you hear me? Beautiful. All right. I'm going to go live in the group. I'm excited. Okay. Sorry, y'all. I'm having technical difficulties, but I'm learning how to do all of this. And I'm clearly rusty because something weird happened, but I am getting this going. So bear with me. Now I can't see y'all again. Okay, this is gonna, all right, hold on y'all. Previous. No, that's not it either. Sorry, y'all. Sorry. All right. All right, I think I did it. Can anybody, Keon, can you turn your mic off just so I can see if I can hear you? Just for a second. Anybody, please?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Ha. Okay.
I can hear you.
All right. Yay. Oh, hi, Nancy.
Hi.
How are you guys?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm at work, so I'm trying to finish up and get out of here and listen to this while I'm in the car too.
Oh, well, thanks for joining. What are you wearing? What are you wearing? What do you do?
So I help run a homeless shelter in East Orange in New Jersey. So I'm a deputy director here, so I do craziness. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
That's so awesome. Okay. Keon, how are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm trying not to get stir crazy in this house, but I'm good.
I know, right? Yeah. It's like we need everybody to stay home so that we can finally get out of here, right?
Yes.
And hey, Jazz.
Hi.
I feel like I am in the group, so I think, let me see. I don't know how to do this, but it looks like I am. I think I am. Doing a little bit of both. It looks like, yes, Nicole and Alicia. Hi, ladies. You guys watching in the group. So yes, hi. I'm glad that means this is working. So feel free to join us on the Zoom call if you want. Either way, I will be checking the comments. So I've got comments on both sides so I can see those. We're talking about all the ceremony tips. And Alicia, if you are watching this, you guys, Alicia is, if you've read the, what is it called? My diary, the Black Desti, my workout partner, the person who helped with freaking everything is actually on. She got married in St. Lucia a year before we did. So she's here too. So Nicole, yeah, St. Lucia and Alicia, both of you guys are watching in the group, and Alicia Nicole is a St. Lucia Desti bride. So this is all good. Yay, I'm excited. Also, so Jazz, Dominican Republic. Keon, what is the dream spot? Let's give you a destination.
I don't know. Mexico. Somewhere in Mexico.
That's where I'm going, Mexico. So
Mexico. Okay.
You would think since I was born in Jamaica, I would want Jamaica to be the spot, but I just have too many family members there who get their feelings hurt not coming to make the family drama because I don't have that kind of bread to pay for all of them.
That's real.
And some of them just don't know how to behave. So.
No, yeah, I feel that. Seriously, we have another friend, she might even end up jumping on, Danielle. That's my very first destination wedding that I ever went to. And they're Jamaican, both sides Jamaican, and they had a huge wedding. It was like, because everybody, you know, you got your people.
Everybody's coming.
Too, with St. Lucia, she did the exact same thing because her husband's family is in St. Lucia, so you end up having it becomes that big home wedding again, right? So,
Correct.
So I'm excited. That's actually part of, I talk about it a little bit with the tips that I have for the ceremony today. So I am excited. Nicole says, hey girl, hey, we can't hear anyone except you. Interesting. I didn't know that. So the group can't hear you guys. So it's gonna sound weird. Well, so I don't think that I can change that. I wonder if that's always been the case. Maybe I did something weird. It hasn't been, has it?
No.
Oh,
No, it wasn't.
I wonder. I'll try to see what I can do about that for a second before I jump in, just to see. Hi, Ish. You guys, Ish's birthday is coming up. I feel like is it the 4th or the 5th? It's coming soon. So happy birthday in advance. Enjoy your quarantine day. It's going to be great, I'm sure, anyway. So, and Alicia says, hi, bride friends. Quarantine, no bra life. So no Zoom. Oh, okay. Why am I surprised by you? Yeah, we know. So you just got to give us the head. Heck, Keon could very easily not have on a bra. Jazz, look, you got a bra on? You may not too. I could not technically, but I can't really function without one. Y'all want to see that. So yeah, Isha's the 4th. Thank you. Yeah, I knew it was coming up soon. So can you guys still not, Isha, Alicia, Nicole, can y'all still not hear anybody but me? Let me know. If not, that means you need to join the Zoom because Omi don't know what she's doing today. Clearly, I have no idea what I'm doing. So sorry, but the replay. And do you guys know about the replays? Like, clearly there's replays in the group, but I also upload to a secret playlist on YouTube. So if you ever want to rewatch them, they exist. There's like a little secret portal, and you probably don't know about it because I'm not the best at. I've been creating them. It's actually on the website. So I'll send you guys the link to that if you ever want to either share or just watch it on YouTube for some reason or somehow instead of being on Facebook. That's an option too for you. So. No, we can't. I'll jump on the Zoom. Dang it. I'm sorry, y'all. I'll still, we'll see. Alexis can't. Okay. Sorry, y'all. Yeah, come on the Zoom. Sorry. For now, you can hear me, and the Q&A will be a little bit later. And cheers. I'm so glad to be back. Thank you guys for letting me take some time. Letting me, you know what I mean? Like, you know, an understanding. We had a whole situation. Che, y'all know, same person, my husband. He had a procedure that he was supposed to just get back really quickly out of, and he had a couple of complications. So it took a little longer, and he was in there for a little longer. It was a lot emotionally. So I just had to get it together so that I can come and have a good time because y'all would not have wanted to see me last week. So I'm here and I'm excited and I'm glad to be back again. And he's good too. He's fine. So thank you. Hi, Alexis. And if any, of course, you guys don't have to, y'all can have y'all no bra life. Do what you want, clearly. All right, so I did my usual with getting my questions from you guys. A lot of them, they kind of are answered in my tips anyway, But outside of that, I got other questions just more recently, so I'll add those too. There's a lot with this, and I'm gonna have to start, kind of like for when I do the podcast, I end up having show notes where you guys can go back to Destiland and look and see what links, what things, what resorts, all that kind of stuff that we're talking about. I feel like there's so much information that I've been giving. I want to make sure that I'm sharing the links how I say I'm going to. Like, I'll drop the link and then I don't drop the link. So in this case, definitely going to do that. And I'll make sure that I just give you guys what you want. You'll also see me updating. So I'll throw some things into the comments, and then you guys will just see in the group me posting more, because there's so much content. If you've ever missed a Destihour, there's something in there probably that could be helpful, that if you don't watch the whole hour, you may not get it. So I'm going to start doing show notes as well, kind of, or like, I wouldn't call it show notes, but just like a blog post that has all of the links of whatever I'm talking about, because every single Destihour has full-on notes. So I can just really literally copy this and put it into the blog post so that you guys have that. So that's the first thing. The other thing I will say before I jump in is the last Destihour that we had, of course, was with Sarah, and we did the coronavirus catch up, which was awesome. I'm gonna end up sharing that and do that. But before then, I did the wedding gown. So I did the wedding gown lowdown, and at the end of it, I vacuum sealed my gown. With everything that went on, y'all, I said I was gonna the next week open it up. I have had nightmares. Like, I've had my, oh my God, it's still in there. I've been looking at it. I need my gown to be okay in here. So this is going to be like the ultimate test. So what I will do is at the end of this, I'm just going to push the camera back and open it just for, and hopefully y'all hear from me emotionally to make sure that I'm not going to have a heart attack, because this has been in for a month. If not 3, yeah, probably. This might be week 4. So, yes, I will be opening this baby up. Hi, Alicia. Hi, Alexis. Who else? Anybody else joining new? Hi, everybody. I'm so excited. Okay, good. So, ceremony tips. And just for a second, I gotta have you guys, hey, Alicia, can you unmute?
Sure.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Okay, you guys, this is No Bra Life, Alicia.
I put on a bra.
Okay, thanks. But clearly you were very familiar with my ceremony, and you're familiar too. Alicia got married in 2016, April 30th, 2016?
Yep.
In St. Lucia. Second destination wedding of my life. So we were planning around the same time, did everything together. So we're going to get her on the show anyway, but I just had to give her a shout out, and she's pregnant.
Are you sure?
Can I say that? I just did.
You did. It's fine though. It's fine. It's fine. We're super excited.
Clearly, yes. So yay for baby Gideon. And if there's anything I'm missing or forgetting about I may end up asking you. Not that you have to stay on the whole time, clearly, but thank you for joining us. Welcome.
It's my pleasure. I feel like I end up forgetting, and then later on it's like, oh, I missed it. So I'm here today. I remember it, and I'm here.
Woo! Okay. So just for the ones that just jumped on, I'm gonna do the tips. There's not a zillion of them. A lot of them you may have heard. Some things, it's just more to drive points home and just to make sure that you guys are covering your bases with your ceremony. And then, like I said, at the end, Alicia, did you see this? I did it. So I gotta open that up. And you actually steamed it. So anyway, that's like, yeah, that's old. So we're gonna go into the new. So I did what I usually do, and I'm breaking this down kind of in order. So as far as the ceremony goes, I'm just going to start off talking about legalities. So I want you guys to just make sure that you know what it takes to get married in your respective destination. So with everything that's going on, I think the idea of possibly getting married legally here or wherever your home is, I'm more pushing and encouraging that for a couple of reasons. One, it's just easier to streamline. It's less things to do, less hoops, less contact with people. A lot of things are changing in different destinations right now. So maybe like back in Mexico, if you had to go and do your blood test, that's a completely different process now. It's a little more difficult to try to go. Like if you go to hospital right now, it's a whole thing. So depending on how things will shake out with COVID, this may be a better time to just figure out what it takes to get married wherever you are at home. And
on the back end, if you ever need documentation, so like we got married in St. Lucia, we did a legal ceremony there. We have to have that marriage certificate. They had to send it to us after, but if we ever need another copy, it's kind of a disaster. So easier to be able to go get that kind of documentation at home than trying to work through a bureaucracy somewhere you don't live. So
that was my next point too. So thank you for that. And yes, the other thing is, no, it's beautiful. No, that's perfect. So that's the other thing. Like you just, with what's going on, and of course, like you can always like figure out with the embassy and what you need to do, but some places are just easier than others, but we don't know what'll happen in the future. So just as Alicia was saying, if you lose it or if you end up needing to do something different, it can just become way more difficult, where you can always just go back to your home state and just make it happen much easier and quicker. So, but if you do want to just make sure that you're, if you want to do it right there, then of course you can do whatever you want to do. Just make sure that you know what it takes, and make sure that your planner does too, and your planner has educated you to let you know exactly what you need. You don't want to forget any documents. That is what this whole ceremony could be resting on if you're doing it fully legally there. And sorry. Ish, really quick. So something is going on. I'm having a technical difficulty where only person that can be heard is me, unless you're on the Zoom call. So if you can, click the link, join the Zoom. If you can't, then I'll actually just try to repeat, but we may have to just do the replay, but I'll try to be more cognizant of that and knowing that you guys can't hear. But if you can jump on the Zoom, you don't have to show your face, but still just click that link and jump in if you can. But what Alicia was saying is that it can be a headache if, for her, she got married in St. Lucia, and it can be a headache if she's trying to get a copy, if she were to lose her marriage license. It's just a whole crazy thing. And then also, in my mind, I'm like, what if something happens where like the U.S. pisses off an island, or they sever ties, or they, something, anything, especially with our current leader and what's going on with that. Anyway, I'm not gonna get political, but just in case, just consider doing it at home. And I've had so many people ask me, because that's what we did no matter what. We did our symbolic ceremony. So you've got civil, which is considered legal. And then you've got symbolic, there's another word for it. No, not really. Mainly it's the symbolic ceremony. And I can tell you that there was no problem. Some people are like, oh, well, if I'm already married, it won't feel right. And that was not the case for me. And all of the Desti brides that you've listened to, most of them did their paperwork part at home. I've talked about this a lot between in other podcast episodes and interviews, so I'm not gonna beat a dead horse with it, but I blogged about it. I'll drop the link to my specific blog post on the day that we did perform, we did the legal part, which was exactly 1 week before our wedding date. And it's really just as another day to be able to celebrate. So, yes. Now, things that you may need to do ahead of time, you guys can deal with that, but blood tests, you may need a parental consent. If you've been married before, you may have to bring a divorce decree. You may need, certain types of ID. You may need all types of stuff. So figure that out. I will, in the show notes for this, I keep saying show notes because of the YouTube channel and podcast, but whatever. In the notes for this, I will drop the U.S. Embassy link there's a link that will just take you straight to whatever country, and you can just click and they'll tell you exactly what you need to get married if you decided to go legally. But just consider not. If you have any questions about how it feels, or if you're fine, or what's what, our wedding date, as far as we're concerned, is our ceremony date. May 27th is when we got married. That's when we had our loved ones with us. That's when we declared, you know, for everyone. And it was the whole hoopla. You're so caught up in the emotions of that day. The day that you actually filled out a piece of paper ahead of time doesn't matter, because you're going to fill that out ahead of time anyway. So yes, I went on that one for a while, but that is, I really feel strongly about that right now, if you can't tell. Any questions before I move on? Move on, Omi? Okay. You know that, so we talk about the, you know, clearly as far as locations, be open to it. Your normal traditional destination wedding is like the beach wedding. We had the beach wedding, but there's so many different options. So just don't feel like you have to do something. If you're wanting the beach situation, then do that. But of course, all destination weddings are not beaches, right? Especially considering our group, we've got people getting married on islands. That's so stupid to say. That's not what I meant to say. Like on mountains and on at estates and all these other beautiful spaces. The idea is that, yeah, Nancy says absolutely, I want a sky terrace. Like, yeah, like play around with it. And sand can be messy. Of course, I'm not against sand in any way, but just play around with it. Yeah, Jasmine, mine is in the garden. Yeah, like do it how you want. I feel like just be okay with that. You may hear people saying different things. A lot of people just assume that a destination wedding is on a beach, but don't be limited. You know, I'm not about anybody telling you what to do. So if in your mind you picture yourself on a gazebo, or you picture yourself in a garden or in a jungle or at a cenote, which as far as in Mexico, it's like this beautiful underground pool situation, just play around with these ideas and get excited about it, but just know your destination. Know your actual venue and your location, because that really matters. You want to have a plan B, and you really want to kind of explore the idea of a plan C, which means if there's been times when your plan B, like if you're getting married outdoors, but it's going to rain, then your plan B is an indoor space. There have been times when that indoor space, for whatever reason, like ran out of power. So what's our plan C? Like, what's another option? Just in case, just ask for a plan C, and they tend to come up with ideas just for you to feel extra supported. So I'm not talking about the exact details yet, because I just want the basis to make the most sense. Like, you know, understand the legal, understand where you're getting married. And then as far as your officiant, you want to make sure that you meet these people. I'm always telling you, meet their Desti pros, do a Skype interview, and you can meet your officiant in advance. Don't feel shy about that. If these people are going to be in charge and communicating with you and communicating with your guests and making sure that your full ceremony is what you want it to be. So if it's someone who maybe doesn't communicate that well, or you know, you're not really liking the vibe that they're giving you when you're trying to communicate with them, then you don't want them performing your ceremony. Like, you just really don't. I really think that trying to have the good vibe, if you can, if you're getting married on a resort, talk to your planner and let them know, hey, who's doing this and how can I meet them? Check these reviews. For us with Joyce, of course, we didn't get married on a resort, but Joyce sent us, you know, a preferred vendor. And we said, okay, that's nice, but can we get a couple more? And then we did our own research too. We ended up using her preferred vendor, actually. Well, she gave us two. So we ended up using one of them, but we did a Skype call with both actually, and met them and wanted to see how they feel and how interested they were. And we're kind of really like, you know, personable people. So we wanted to make sure that they were personable too. So think about that. So yeah, just
back to that legal piece as well. If you choose to do a legal ceremony in your destination, that may also limit you on the officiant who's actually going to do the ceremony.
Oh yeah, because you may have that judge.
Yep. So think about that as well. Yep.
Is that what happened? Well, no, because
that white lady who was there with us. That's why we didn't pick her. She ended up being wonderful, but she was the legal representative for St. Lucia, and there were certain words that she had to say during the ceremony in order for it to be legal. Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense. So anybody who's listening on the group, Alicia is saying that when she got married in St. Lucia, depending on where you're getting married, you may have to use a specific, maybe like it's a government official or something else that you have to use. They have to use certain language. So that you may be more limited in your choices. But Alicia, one good thing that you did that I think would be a good idea is you also, like, you had your uncle, wasn't it? Was it your uncle who was able to fill in, and is he a pastor?
He is, yep.
Yeah. So in your case, he was a pastor and he was able to infuse the family, infuse the life into it. So if you are limited in the type of officiant that you have to use as far as for the legal part, then you can still play around with the idea of infusing your own thing, maybe getting, hiring another officiant or something like that, or bringing someone who can really still hit it home and make sure your ceremony has the feel that you want it to have. So yes, thank you for that. I think that, so that's really my ideas on officiants. Is that it? Yes. So interview where you can. If you can't interview, and the other thing I feel like now, if you were getting married in like Paris, they have a complete, and no, I'm not gonna say nobody, but not many people legally get married in Paris because you must be there for freaking ever, like be there in advance forever. And then you basically have to get married in a Catholic church or something like that. Like it's very, very, very strict. So it doesn't happen exactly, but if that were to happen, then in that case, you're gonna kind of, that's like what's more important for you then, because they don't necessarily let you have that part. So I've seen people who, there's a limit of them, but the ceremony may not be exactly what you want it to be in that way, but then you can kind of bring someone into the reception that will give you that, maybe some other form of being able to speak and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot to do with it, to play with, but your officiant is something just to be aware of and pay attention to, because I've been to weddings, be it destination or not, where the officiant can ruin your wedding. Kind of like they can you got guests kind of like, or you can kind of tell that the couple's like not vibing with them, or they really don't know that, or they're saying the wrong name, like you're not even pronouncing my name right, or you just all types of things. So meet them, make sure they really care, they want to know how to pronounce this the right way, all of that kind of stuff matters, and they can become distractions later on for you and things that you'll remember that you don't necessarily need to. Now, hiccups happen, and especially if you're getting married in just somewhere that's a completely different culture between accents or just things. So be aware and know that things are going to happen, so you're going to want to be more fluid and roll with it and still focus on the important part, right? But trying to be as prepared as possible in advance, I think, is always the thing. And you clearly care about that because you're watching this, so you're trying to be prepared. Any officiant questions? Nope. Okay. Nancy, Sarah's absolutely amazing to work with. Thanks for the recommendation. Oh, good. Yay. I'm glad. Yeah, Jasmine, yes, she is. I talked to her last week. Oh, good. I'm glad you guys loved her. I'm so late, but yes. She is awesome. So, and things are opening up. So I'll probably try to see if I can get her in every now and then, but we'll figure it out. And Jasmine's anti-sand. I hear you. I love the sand actually, but it can be a distraction. So yeah, I get it. Speaking of, okay, so special requests. There's things now when you're communicating with your officiant also, or your planner as well, you may have special requests. So for us, and one of the questions that I was asked was as far as the unplugged versus plugged ceremonies. So if anyone doesn't know what unplugged is so a plugged ceremony, you run the risk of having your guests, your photos, they're like this. And nowadays everybody want to be on Instagram and they want to post and you on Facebook Live and all that kind of stuff. Now, Some people want that. And if that's what you want, then you may even encourage that, like ahead of time, go, hey y'all, we want to go viral. I don't know, whatever. You can tell people, hey, get them phones out, here come the bride. But you've seen the photos where everybody's in the aisle trying to get that shot. You've seen people like tear down the whole aisle, messing up stuff, the grooms having to look over people's phones, all that kind of stuff. If you would like to avoid that, then consider a unplugged ceremony. So that's what we did. And just to give a feel for it, because I was asked how we felt about it and what we loved about it. So there is a con too, but pro-wise, clearly it's just more personal. I feel like at the end of our ceremony, well, one, there were no distractions. Everyone was eyes on us, paying attention, and there in the moment, and we really could like feel that, if that makes sense. It just was a more intimate experience. I think that, yeah, that's something to just be aware of if that's where you're going with it. So that's with the unplugged ceremony. The other thing that was really interesting was afterwards, we ended up realizing like, and seeing the photos of how emotional people really were. And it's really hard to kind of be as emotional when you're so distracted by making sure that you're on your phone. People may not get it as much, but even like with Alicia's wedding, I remember I was so into it and was such a baby and a punk. And I was just like, oh my God, her walking down the aisle. And Che was recording and he was like, why was I recording that? And I was like, what am I even doing with this? Like, what? It's cool to get that, but at the same time, at what cost? They're almost not even thinking about what they're losing by it. Like them being so involved in the, in your ceremony really adds to it. Like there were times when we're doing our vows and people are like respond, you hear like, oh, or ha, or laughing, or they're like in it. And it's easy. It can just become a distraction. And I'll talk about distractions too. But unplugged was the way that we decided to go. Now I did get asked about our specific wording. Like, how do you ask people to put your phones down? And what we ended up coming up with, and what we did was we asked our officiant at the beginning, like before I even came in, to read this statement. And then I think they read it twice, like when everybody first sat down and then maybe before I came. And it says, this is an unplugged ceremony. And Bianca and Douglas, Bianca's my first legal name, just in case y'all were wondering. No one knew that. That's the actual. But Bianca and Douglas, thank you for being here today and ask that you be fully present and in the moment with them by putting away all cell phones and cameras during the ceremony. And I'll share that blurb just in case anyone wants to use it or tweak it or whatever. And people did it, and it was great. And afterwards, they were so emotional. It was like, oh my gosh, it's so great. Now, the only con is I think that I would add afterwards, like when they say, you know, now announcing Mr. or whatever, like afterwards when she kiss, we had guests who were afraid to ever pick up their phone again almost. We told them to put them away and they didn't really know when to bring them back out. So even after the ceremony, when we were taking our photos, some people were still taking pictures, but a lot of people were like, is it okay if I? And we wish that we didn't. There's like a stint of time where there's no photos from friends. And by the time the reception hit, they did start pulling out their phones, but it did kind of set a good precedent where people were just in the moment enjoying it all the way. But I just probably would have thought about telling them hey, it's okay, like get them phones out now. The other thing is making sure that if you don't want Facebook or Instagram, like if you don't want your first photos to be shared by other people, and it's just something to think about. Do you want people sharing your photos before you get to? Because people they'll hit that, bride life. They want to be the first ones to do that, or they're just not even thinking about it. It's a moment for them. They're at a destination wedding and check out this photo. I'm the first one to be able to do it. They'll do all types of stuff. So it's something to think about in communicating with your guests. So yes, that is my spiel on that. Do you guys, Alicia is shaking her head all over the place, all of those things. So yeah, and I think really y'all, if you haven't read the diary, I got so detailed in the last days and the days of, and my actual emotions and feelings about things and hiccups appeared. So I'll drop the links to those if you just want some funness, a little bit of a real deep, what really was going on. I'll share those for y'all too. It was all types of stuff that went on. You know, I remember at one point my godmom had a camera. She's a photographer. She had a camera. So just try not to be distracted. Turns out she did ask, and she was told that she could take pictures, but I wasn't aware of that. So I had to just focus and then deal with that later. So yes, so that's that. But that's my answer to unplugged versus plugged ceremonies. As far as, what's that? Hold on. I messed up my order, y'all. How am I doing on time? I'm not the greatest with this. So still, okay, in the same vein of distractions, a couple other things, just don't overcomplicate. I think I've been to weddings. I've heard the things that people loved, things that people hated. I've loved certain things, hated certain things. I've talked about it in different times, but just a list of things that could be overcomplicating or just could be a distraction that you may not have even thought about is a big one maybe. So drones and videographers, I love the idea of it, but just understand now, drones, they're great shots, but drones are loud. Like, I don't know if anyone's ever been around a drone, but these things are not quiet. And so it depends on what kind of wedding you want. Do you just want it to be a cinematic, like you just want to get these shots and these videos, which is fine, then do that. But it may hinder your guests' experience when there's constantly like a whole videography team. Like it's as if it's like a Housewives episode filming with camera crews everywhere. Walking around, don't expect people to be paying attention to what you're doing because the videographer is like right, or even like pay attention, like your photographer could be right all up in you. For us, I don't know if that was the case for us actually, but it turns out our photographers got some really great shots, but we weren't distracted. And photographers are going to do that. But I think that when you start adding the photography, the videography, and you want to have these drones, all of those things coming together at the same time, all to get a great video is just something to be aware of, that it could be overkill. Maybe choose one or two, or think about the full experience, because it can be a distraction to you as the couple. And then also for your guests, like seriously thinking about it, there have been times like it's just teams of people and you catching, and when you see these videos that are so great, somebody had to get all up in these with these big pieces of equipment to get it done, and they're guests. So it just depends on what type of wedding you want. Just know that, just pay more attention to that, just to be aware of. That's a possible distraction. Sounds like I don't love that, but it's just a different thing, right? It's just something to be aware of. There's no judgment in that space, but I don't have to qualify that. Y'all know, y'all gonna do what y'all wanna do, just let y'all know. The other thing that's something that I think is interesting is like the paper. Like a lot of people wanna have a program. In my mind, like whatever your timing is, like first we're gonna do the reading, then we're gonna do like like the vows, and then in our case we had like our friends do a reading, and then we had like this little hand holding ceremony. All of these things that you guys are going to do, you don't have to let your guests know what you're doing in advance. I think having that program can be a distraction, because people are already like trying to see, where are you? Like if you've been at church and you're like trying to figure out, where are we in this ceremony? Where are we? What's next? How much is left? Like, what is that? It's a distraction. So, and if you're outside, then it's windy, people could be losing them. Like I've seen all types of things, and it's money out of your pocket too. So you can save your money. You don't have to tell them what's next. It's just an experience. Just invite them to your wedding. Make sure they have a great little seat, which is another thing that I talk about. But then just have your ceremony. You know your program and the order of it. Make sure it's a nice vibe. But the idea of explaining what's what. And even, I mean, I get it with the bridal party members, and you may want to put their name and say this is the mother of the bride and groom and all that kind of stuff, but consider not doing it, maybe, or memorializing them, like acknowledging them in another way, maybe even reading it or saying it or something like that. I don't know how important it really is, and I've seen them blow. Like, I've seen people lose them. Or it's another thing where while you're talking, people are like this. And then if there's kids in your wedding, then those kids got something to play with. It can just be more. So that's something that to think about. And then another distraction that doesn't have to be is the weather. So the weather and the elements. So is it too hot? Like, are you getting married right when the sun is right at the top and beaming down on top of you? Pay attention to that. And especially right now with the way these resorts are trying to book, like if you had to postpone or they're trying to force you into a certain time, instead of taking that time slot right before sunset, like we know about the sunset wedding, like people want that, like the timing where you can get that. But outside of that, you have options of maybe a sunrise wedding, or just like a morning thing, or even a sunset, an evening wedding. Like, there's different things, play around with it, or do the sunset, do whatever you want. But that hot, like the best way to find out when sunset is, and you want to probably have, they say, like starting an hour and a half ahead of time, or like maybe like you want your ceremony to start like an hour or so before, so that you can get those photos after you have your ceremony, and then you get the photos at sunset. But if you can't get that time slot, don't take the one before that, because resorts tend to have a slot before that that's sweat laden and it's cheaper. So that can be a distraction. Really, really windy spaces. If you're somewhere, like for us, we were on a private beach and we were right on the water. So it actually was a windy spot. So make sure that the team that you're using understands the location wherever you are. If you're at a gazebo, there can be echoes. If you're in a garden, you may want to make sure between like trees rustling and all types of things. So make sure that the team that you're using for your audio, even if it's just a microphone, that they understand and they're willing to come in advance to do a sound check. Because doing a sound check while your guests are there, if you can avoid that and you want them to just pay them to come 30 minutes in advance or something, then consider that, to make sure that the audio is understood and played with, so that once you guys have you're doing your thing, that's not when they're realizing that it's so windy you can't even hear the couple. Like, you hear about all types of things. So think about that too. I talked about timing of the day, so I talked about that. As far as the order of events and things happen, I talked about it a little bit I talked about the time of day, sunset wedding, sunrise, evening times, cheaper, timeanddate.com. Oh, look at me. I just threw those together. Audio, good microphone. And if you are saving money and deciding not to have an audio, so like sometimes you can just ask your DJ, if you're going to have a DJ, to just come a little bit in advance. Like, we ended up, our DJ did it all. So it doesn't have to be two separate teams. I've seen people use two separate teams, but it doesn't have to be. And usually it probably shouldn't. It'd be cheaper just to kind of put it all together. And either the other thing is, like, when I talk about the element as a distraction, is it's a big hall. Some people get married in a big room. You want to make sure that people can hear you and it's not too crazy and loud, and just make sure that your audio is taken care of at the same time too. Another thing, live streaming is something that I think is going to be it's already getting bigger, but it's really, really going to be a thing right now. A lot of family members may not be able to make it. So back when I was I did my tech episode, the tech Destihour, I talked about like actually the software that I use to go into the Facebook group. It's called Ecamm. I'll drop that link in there. They actually have a couple of videos on how to stream if you want to do it yourself. Lisa, the Desti bride from episode I Don't Know, that got married in Santorini, Greece, they did the elopement and they streamed with their family, and they did it themselves, and it worked out nicely. So just pay attention and play with those. I'm not fully versed on how to do that yet, but I am learning, and that will be on in season 3 when the show comes back. Looking at late August, September for that, just so y'all know too. But when that does come through, I'll have some more things, maybe bring somebody into the group to talk about how to do that too. Clearly, I don't know, because I'm trying to figure out how to do Zoom and Ecamm at the same time, and I'm not the best at that. So, but that's my whole point. You don't want to just try to wing it on your wedding day and you don't know what you're doing. So play with it, and it's possible to do it yourself. Yeah, so yes, so that's that. As far as decor and details go, we all know about the less is more advice, so I'm not going to harp on that. You know, the overall idea is you're already getting married somewhere beautiful, so really just try to embrace that space and don't try to make it look like somewhere else. Like, you don't want to go to Mexico trying to make it look like New York or something, or like, that's not necessarily the idea. And you can end up, in my mind, the decor is where you can splurge. Like, that's splurge land. Your actual ceremony space can be just as blank and just beautiful because of the full experience. If you're doing the other things that I'm talking about, making sure that there aren't a lot of distractions, making sure that your guests can hear you and really be a part of it. Doesn't really matter where you are, right? So as far as decor, we know that less can be more, and I'm all about the beautiful arches and all of those things. At one point I'll even drop, I have to find that picture, but I wanted this big, what do you call that? Arch or whatever, but it was like square. It had these drapes that were blowing in the wind, and it had a chandelier underneath it. And I wanted that. In the photo that they took, it was like blowing, and Che was like, no. I can't imagine a full chandelier just blowing, and the chandelier was blowing in the wind. Like, but it seemed like, ooh, yeah, that would have been beautiful in a certain space. And it could be beautiful. A lot of these photos are staged shots. Some people get married with them too, but just know that you don't need all of that. That's spending a lot of money necessarily. So if you want to do it, of course, you're going to do what you want to do. But less can be more. Less is more. Well, we'll say less can be more, because you can want a lot. Like, I think as far as decor, things that you want to make sure that you're aware of is your seating. How are you seating your guests? You can get fun with that. You see people like do like, I'm doing this, but like curved seating arrangements, or straight, or just give a little design. I had a design that I wanted, and there's certain shots in our wedding that you see the guests and it looks so good the way it is. Or, you know, we did have, instead of using flowers, we played around with it and had other things. And I didn't want an arch. I just wanted it to be just us. So just think about what you want, play with it, but know that your decor can almost kind of be like, not as much as, the decor is not as important, as far as I'm concerned, as your audio. It's just not. Or your photography. It's just not. Like, you can play around with and get away with way more when it comes to your decor. But the seating of your guests is important. Now, another place where you don't necessarily have to have seating arrangements necessarily. So I've seen the sign, like I thought a sign, like, where are people going to sit? I'm with the groom or I'm with the bride. That wasn't an option for us, because everybody was kind of there for all of us. It wasn't, these are his friends, these are my friends. So we just let people figure out where they wanted to sit. But you could, you know, if you want the front row to just be super serious family or something like that. It turned out that I didn't even think about that, y'all, and I probably should have, but a spot for my dad, didn't even think about it at all. He did end up sitting in the front. Luckily, I think maybe Joyce thought about that. I have to ask her. So that's something to think about. Like, do you have specific people that you want them to sit, you know, be in the front, or to have those times in that space? Then do that. And aisle runner, if you want that. I've seen people put actual, depending on where you are again, right? We talked about that with the dress, where there was like wood planks, and you kind of want to play around with that idea. Do you want your dress to snag on that if you're wearing a dress or whatever you're wearing? So just being aware. We just did flowers, but just knowing where you're getting married, or maybe nothing. Trying to actually put a piece of fabric, if you're getting married outside, and making sure it stays there. I've seen that be a little difficult, because you're outside and you know, it may come along with you and you may be dragging it, right? Like I've seen some of everything. That's so funny. But like if you've got a gown and you're walking on something, you could potentially drag it with you if it's not secured down. You also could, you know, or tear it, or it just becomes more of a distraction, or it's blowing in the wind. You can see, I've seen a lot of things can happen. So again, think about these things, talk about them, talk to other people, talk to your friends about it, talk to your partner about it, talk to your planner about it. Talk to everybody about it because they may have a better idea. I was kind of worried about rose petals because we had rose petals at the bottom and I walked through them. I don't think I drug a rose petal. I may have, but I didn't have any in my dress at the end. So that wasn't an issue, but it's something I thought about, but I didn't care. I wanted that. So do what you want to do as you will anyway. Drinks. As far as drinks go, you know, I'm into my drinks and I haven't had one in a minute. So hold on.
Omi, I think you have a few questions coming in the chat as well.
Yeah, thank you. I need this drink though, hold on. That's why I had to stop talking, take a drink, read. I got into it, hold on. I do have some questions, thank you. All right, Nancy, did you fly in your DJ? Or use one from Mexico? We actually used ours from Mexico. I'll drop the link of who it was. They Disco Mobile, I feel like is the way that they were, but they were really, really great. And, you know, I'm all about my Skype interviews. So we both, like me and Che, scheduled time with them and the full team. And they sat, it was the team of 3 of them. They introduced themselves, told us who they were. They had a little way for us. Like Che did the full playlist basically, because he's all into music. Not basically, he did the full playlist, told them what he wanted. He was able to, DJ Chewy was awesome, and he was mixing it and doing what he wanted. He added a couple songs every now and then, but we did use our DJ also did gave us a generator. Provided the generator because we needed that since it was a blank space where we got married. But we did not fly that in. I do know of brides who have flown in their DJ, and it's something, depending on where you are, you may not have to, but it's kind of like vibe-wise. If it's something that you're really, really, you love this DJ, then okay. In my mind, for me, it was like hair and makeup was like, I must have someone who can absolutely do that. But we took over the music at the same time too, right? We just needed someone to be able to have the equipment and do what we wanted them to do. But I understand fully, depending on where you are, if you like the idea of doing a DJ. Some DJs will, like, and the idea of flying any professional in is you play around with it for the most part. You pay them a fee of some sort for their services, and then it includes travel usually, or some depending on the level of professionalism that they're in, they want to be able to build up their portfolio and say that they did destination weddings. So they will, you know, if you pay for their room or you pay for their flight, like you can kind of play around with that. They may be willing to pay for their flight if you handle the lodging for these number of days, and then they'll give you the services. So get creative with it, play around with it. If you want a superstar, then you're going to be paying for their full days, like not just the day of the wedding, because you got to deal with the days that they won't be able to do other weddings, and you're paying for their lodging and all of their extras, incidentals, and stuff like that. So it can get crazy, but at the same time, it doesn't have to be. And then are they going to travel with their equipment? Like with the DJ, it can get a little difficult, I think. So. But no, we did not. Alexis asked, if you get married at the Azul Fives Resort in Mexico, they live stream all of the weddings unless they've changed that recently. Ooh, okay. That's awesome. I need to look into that. Thank you for sharing that. And so what things did you do decor-wise? Decor-wise, for the ceremony specifically, it was all about flowers and seating. It was simple. Or was it simple? I guess technically it was simple. But I will drop the photo, like the big photo, to be able to show everything that it was. But we had kind of pink and reddish rose petals down the aisle, but our aisle was shaped kind of like in this direction. So guests were kind of spaced off. That it's not gonna make sense, but I kind of wanted it to not just be a straight aisle. It was like this. And I wanted it to just be us and a microphone in the middle. And it ended up being just one table that our officiant needed. But it was a low profile table that when we stood in front of it, it didn't even show. I just wanted to kind of just be us. And then we had 3 large arrangements. It wasn't flowers. It was more of like a deserty feel. It was very Mexico. I can't think of the name of what the floral arrangement was. And florals is something I'm gonna actually bring somebody in to talk about. And that's something that we'll talk about too, but I'll drop the photo. But those are, the big bulk of our budget for our ceremony was strictly floral. That's what it was. And it wasn't like tons and tons of flowers. The rose petals were really easy because it was just basically, it was literally just rose petals. It wasn't paying for the full arrangement of them. They have these baggies. Oh, and the other thing, at the end, everybody had a little satchel of rose petals. So once they announced us, they threw them and we got really great shots of that too. So that was all we did decor wise, and I'll drop photos as well. As far as photography goes, you want to talk to your photographers and discuss the shots that you like for them to do. Now, all photographers are different. So our photographer, Shenko Photography, I love them. Can't wait for you guys to meet them. They were so great. It was a husband and wife duo. They had 2 very different styles. So the husband in the getting ready photos, Che's photos have a very a different, they work well together, but the vibe is different on how they are. So, and once they come together, you can kind of tell who took which photos because it's so cool. They're a husband and wife duo. Love them. But they also are very creative. So they were basically saying, you can tell us who you want to be in the photos, but the idea of just sending them Pinterest photos, like I want this shot, I want this shot, and I want this shot. They were kind of like, nah, we don't really work like that. We're not going to recreate someone else's work. But we show us what you like and we'll do that, if that makes sense. But still knowing that certain shots that you'll want, I think is cool. But make sure, I love them because when they kind of were interviewing me before I even got to interview them, when I reached out to them, and that's a whole other thing too. So I'm not going to go too crazy about photography because we can just talk about that in a Destihour. But I will say that they asked me, what out of our portfolio, what was your favorite session? What did you like? Like, what did you like about what we do? And that way, that's good for you to think about. I had to really think about it, look through like, what do I love? What did I like? What was my favorite? That kind of stuff. And I think that makes sense because then you get a feel and a vibe and they understand you more. And then you can trust them to get certain shots. Like they got shots of the actual vow book. When I was opening it and reading it, there's a shot like over my shoulder. I don't even remember them being there. I also was crying my butt off and kissing and through the whole thing. But stuff like that, like talking to your photographers in advance just to let them know certain types of shots. And there's 2 things we did. I think it might have been on our list. But if it wasn't, it didn't happen. And I would tell you guys, I think that everybody should get a group photo. Like try to get a photo that has your whole group of guests that came. We didn't, and that if there's anything I would change is that. Like the ceremony was beautiful. We have their backs, like they got that full shot of everybody while we're up there, but just like that fun, this is everybody. If you can get everybody on at some point after, and that's actually after ceremony, but getting that type of shot I think would be really cool. At least for us, it would have been. And but yes, even if you tell them exactly what you want, still go with the flow. Let them do what they're doing and don't focus so much. Trust your team. You got your planner, you've got your photographer, if you got videographers or you got your DJs, whoever you decided, trust yourself that you chose the right people and just enjoy this ceremony, right? Because that's what you're gonna like go back to and enjoy. That's the whole point of all of this. The reception is gonna be bomb and we will have a whole other one, maybe even next week about that. But this ceremony, just really enjoy it, you guys. I think not getting so caught up in it. I'm really easily distracted and not getting so caught up in like, what's that? And who's this? And what's going on? That wasn't like that table's not supposed to be there. Like that kind of stuff, just don't even let it get to you. Your ceremony is your ceremony. And I just want y'all to enjoy that. So another photo that I love that I never thought about was we had a certificate signing at the end. So our officiant did have us come, and they had a little certificate. I didn't even know we would have it because we got married legally here in Pittsburgh, but they had something to say that we got married in Mexico on this date with our name, and we signed it together, and there's photos of us signing it. I just love that picture. So another thing to kind of think of too. If you want, I could have a whole other photo episode to talk about. Probably should. Because I'm trying to figure out what, and y'all don't tell me what y'all need. I just be making stuff up. So just so y'all know, if there's ever something where y'all like, Omi, I would love if you did a week on this, please let me know, because I'm just doing whatever I can do. So yes, a photo episode. Okay, cool. And as far as your, I have a fashion thing, but I feel like we talked about that. We really talked about that in the wedding gown lowdown. I went really, really deep into that. So I'm not going to go too crazy about it, but I will just say that for your ceremony, just make sure that what you're wearing makes sense for it. So don't try to walk in high heels if you're walking through grass or sand or anything where you would not normally walk in high heels. You don't go to a barbecue in the jungle, or are there barbecues in jungles? No, that y'all know what I mean. You're not going, it's certain, dress for the occasion, right? So don't forget what's happening and where you're going to be. That's like the big thing, because that will become a distraction. So for us, everything was in sand. So I ended up being barefoot, and actually Che wore shoes for the ceremony, and I really liked the photos. But yeah, like his ankles were out, and yeah, barefoot, sandalless, sockless shoes, whatever. Wear what you want to wear. He ended up taking them off later, but just know that you're dressing for the elements. But, and again, we talked about this with the dress. Don't feel like I have to wear this gown because I'm getting married here. That's where I draw the line. Wear the gown you want to wear wherever it is. If you want to wear a ball gown in the middle of a jungle, do it, and those would be amazing shots too. Like, don't go, oh, this is too dressy for this. I don't subscribe to that. Now, your shoes, nobody's gonna see your feet more than likely anyway, so wear what you just whatever. Like, have fun with it, but don't wear heels to the jungle barbecue, because apparently that's what makes sense to me. So that's the rule of thumb. That's the nugget of the day. Okay. Please rehearse. And yeah, I'm not gonna keep you guys too much longer, but just please rehearse. I feel like we did not, and one of the questions that was asked was, what would you have changed? And I talked about the full group photo, but a rehearsal, and that's whether you have a bridal party or not. We did not have a bridal party, so we really weren't thinking about a rehearsal. And there still are things, it's still a ceremony. There's this at this time, this at this day. You don't have to have your officiant there necessarily, because sometimes you have to pay them to come for that day. Sometimes they will just come anyway. So that's something to find out if they will be a part of that. But at least some form of a walkthrough so everyone understands where you're gonna be, how long it will take to walk from this place to this place. Because we had like a specific song, and it was, Whitney Houston was gonna play, and in my mind, I was gonna walk slowly with my dad and enjoy it. And by the time we hit this point, I was gonna touch eyes with Che, and y'all, nope. My dad didn't know anything about these plans because nobody told him. So he was too busy crying and being all into it. So he basically just was running down the aisle crying. Like I was trying to kind of pull him, but he just didn't know. And I really feel like if he would have just known, because you see the rehearsal and people go, slow down. Okay, take your time. Come on. Just that practice of knowing what to expect. And he's never walked anyone down the aisle before. And I've never walked down the aisle before. So, and actuality, what happened was the song came on, and before we even got to really a real lyric, I was already at the end of the aisle. I was already there. Like, didn't happen, right? So if you're going to have a bridal party, it's more likely that you will have a rehearsal. Some people don't still, and that's all the more reason to definitely have a rehearsal. You need people to know when, where, how they're going. But no matter what, if you have 2 people coming, no people coming, 30 people coming, whatever's coming down that aisle, you want them to be aware and you want it to run smoothly. So I'm all into it, clearly. Rehearse. This is the rehearse dance. So yes, rehearse, y'all.
Your rehearsal is where your wedding planner will have an opportunity to tell you all of the things that they wouldn't want to be shouting at you during the ceremony. So like a lot of brides walk down the aisle and you're so nervous that you have your bouquet right here in front of your face and your photographer can't get pictures of you. And during rehearsal, your wedding planner can tell you, bouquet down, bouquet down. She doesn't want to do that during your ceremony. But I literally was hearing the voice of my wedding planner walking down the aisle, reminding myself, okay, pull this bouquet down, because we went over that in the rehearsal.
That's great. Thank you. So anyone in the group, Alicia just came on and she said that St. Lucia, Desti Bride, just in case you're just jumping on. But she was saying in her experience with the rehearsal, that's where your planner is able to kind of yell at you and coach you and tell you what you're doing wrong. And in her instance, there was a point where she's got her bouquet up really high and the planner's saying bouquet down, like bring it down, because the photographer can't see you if you're like this, so bring it down. So whatever it is, like in our case, it probably would have been them telling us to slow down. It's not a marathon. Like, enjoy this, you know. So yes, rehearse. No matter what it is, I think that you should definitely just rehearse. Please rehearse. There's a lot of trends going on, and I'm gonna just do a whole other trend. I think Destihour too, because there's so many things. Like you've got the sand ceremonies, you've got the like sometimes you light candles, or you have the sand where you can kind of, you both are pouring different types of things, and then you've got like hand tying. You've seen people like tie their hands together, and that's the whole thing. There's lots of different types of symbolic parts that you can add to your ceremony. So explore those, play around with them. There's the wine where you guys there's a bottle of wine that you guys decide, you put it in a box, you guys write a letter to each other, you throw it in there, and at that time on your ceremony, you're nailing them together. I could just keep going on and on about all types of things, but look, explore, play around, but make sure that you and your partner both are excited about it. I think the idea of you doing something and that they're not really excited shows in photos, and you've seen that before. I don't know if you've seen it, but I've seen it. I could drop a photo where you kind of see where they're kind of like, all right, like, here we go. You don't want that, Pick your battles, and in your ceremony, forcing your partner to do something probably isn't how you want to start your marriage. Just going to put that there. I'm not telling you how to be, but I am. And don't force people to do what they don't want to do. And you're going to be mad at the pictures. So that's that. For readings, and explore and play around. You don't have to do what you've seen other people do. So for readings, you can do everything from like the scriptures or a beautiful poem, or just play around with it. What we ended up doing, Alicia and her husband, we had them come up and they read a favorite song of ours. It worked out well, and it kind of read like poetry. The specific song that we chose was Melody Gardot's Our Love is Easy. I'll drop that just in case y'all are curious, because we just love that song. But wrote out the lyrics, like put them out, and then just asked them to kind of each do, what is it called, like a stanza or whatever. Like they basically just, each one read a different paragraph, and it read like poetry. So if you guys have a favorite song, get those words written and then have people read that. Like, do what you want to do with it. So don't think it has to be something that someone else has done. You can do what you want to do. If there's a passage from a book that you guys both love or something, yeah, so just play around with it. Don't feel like you have to, I'm like team, do what you want to do, and don't feel like you have to be in anybody's box. So that includes your ceremony. Reading. Okay, good. Checking comments, y'all. And as far as your bridal party goes, just make sure that they know what you need. Rehearsal is important, but also just maybe making sure that they're participating in the Desti Lovers group. You can invite them in there. Make sure that they're watching, or if you see a video or something that you want, or episode or something or whatever, just kind of make sure that they are aware and you know what you need from them or what you don't want or whatever. And they'll fill in some gaps and be able to help and kind of know when to jump in. For me, I had like the plan Bs. I knew the friends who I may need a plan B for. So I had to talk to other friends and go, hey, so-and-so may not do the right thing. So I might need you to fill in right here. So keep your eye out. You're in charge of making sure that this person is doing what they're supposed to do. Or you're in charge of Uncle John, okay? Uncle John, whatever it is, like making sure that being proactive. And the only other thing I will say, I think I started to say it, but drinks, as far as somehow I ended up getting past drinks. Oh, I said drinks and then I took a drink and then I didn't give my tip. So considering an open bar, like if you're gonna have an open bar in general, depending, and know your group, know your audience, if this is good for them, but it's, while they're waiting on you, having your signature drink ahead of time, like when they first walk into your ceremony, then being greeted by like a drink, a light, refreshing, nothing crazy, not shots. It's not time for shots yet, but you know, something light, something refreshing while they're just waiting on you could be just something nice to do and to get the party started ahead of time. Now, again, know your audience. If they're a rowdy bunch, then you may not want to give them drinks in advance because you already know that this is a destination wedding, which means they've already been drinking through the whole day to begin with. So they're gonna come a little litty to your wedding. Just know that. So know your group, but that could just be a little something extra, and it wouldn't be Desti Hour if I didn't talk about drinks in some way. So yes, I didn't want to forget that part. I don't know what I said that made me think about that. Something your bridal party drinking, I don't know, but that is that. The only other question that I received was, can I share my timeline, like what we exactly did? And I absolutely will. I'll share that. I'll drop that link. And instead of just dropping the links in the comments like I do, I'll do that. But when I put the blog post up, I'll put the link to the blog post and let y'all know, hey, everything that we talked about in this Desti Hour is here, just so that y'all have that too. Like, I realize that y'all don't necessarily see everything or get it. It's a lot I'm throwing at y'all. But what we did, 4:30 is when our getting ready photos started. And then our ceremony was to start at 6:15. And we ended up keeping our photographers all the way to like 1 a.m. They stayed probably to closer to 2, honestly. But I will share the actual timeline of everything with the details, because I did it through a spreadsheet, like at this time we're doing this. And I also kind of add a little note where the wiggle room was, because the ceremony did not start at 6 or 6:15, I'm sure. So yes, I will share our timeline. What would I have changed? I answered that one already, the rehearsal and the full group photo. I would have definitely done both of those. We did neither. Big mistakes on our part. Not big. We had a great time. So yes, where were the photographers from Mexico? Yes, our photographers, Shenko Photography, they actually are also in like Costa Rica. They travel, but they are local to Playa del Carmen, Mexico, and I love them. They were great. They did all of our photos, our wedding photos and like the wedding day photos, but then also the before photos. I was about to call them engagement, but they're not really. They do like a little extra session ahead of time to get a feel for you with coloring and how you guys vibe and move and get you comfortable. So any of the beach photos that you guys may see, they did those too. I'll share those. They're on they should be on the Desti, Black Desti site. But yes, that is that. I really missed you guys. Like, I love this. So thank you for joining me again. I am going to open my gown just in case. I'm not going to take forever with it. I'm going to just open it, make sure it's alive and well, and then I will do something later for you guys where we can kind of maybe go on this weekend or something to look at it and get details, because we're going to, my husband's going to come in and go really on me, because I'm still on with y'all. And I just get excited because I just love this. So I hope y'all, it looks like y'all are too. I appreciate it. Do you guys have any questions or anything? No? No? Okay. Can I know like the biggest takeaway from y'all? Like, give me something. So what y'all got? Oh, wait, hold on now. Wait a minute, what just happened? Nancy, are you home? She was at work. That's so funny. Now she's
I made it home. So I've been listening to you guys since I walked out the office and then got home and got undressed, and I've been on.
Oh, well, yay. Well, good. Well, I'm glad you made it home. What would you, now that I got you, what's your biggest takeaway?
The rehearsal, because that is something I'm really a stickler about things going right, and I could foresee me in the back worried about if the bridesmaids are doing everything correctly. So I'm big on that. I help with wedding planning events here, so I just took notes from that wedding coordinator, and I'm going to try to do what I can on my end. But I think that overwhelming myself might be my biggest issue. Because I have, if my fiance would say, I have kind of like a control issue. So I want things to go the way I want them to go. So having that rehearsal is the biggest thing. Because like you, when you said your father, I can see my father just trying to hurry up and get down the aisle so he can sit down somewhere. So. Yeah.
Well, good. Yes. And I want you definitely are going to need to do some work in making sure that you do fall back though, because you need to enjoy it. So enjoying it, you can't control everybody, but the key is the preparation in advance, but know the stuff is still going to happen. But the more that you can prepare them with, and really some of the stuff that happens ends up just being funny or just something, it could be good stuff that happens because you don't have such a strong hold. You're giving people the creativity or some wiggle room, but you know who can get wiggle room and who can't. So
yes.
So yes, so good. I understand. So yay, thank you. Alicia, any parting words?
So first of all, I love seeing all of these beautiful chocolate faces. Y'all are amazing, and I love weddings so much. So it's been a pleasure to get to join you and share a couple things that I learned from our experience, some of them the hard way. So y'all have a wonderful, wonderful guide in Omi. Allow her to help you in any way that she can. I will tell you one thing I shared with her that a beautiful friend shared with me when I was planning my wedding, especially kind of that weekend as everything, or the weekday, whenever it's going to be, but in those couple days leading up to and even the day of, just be thinking about a point. There, you will get to a point where you need to tell yourself, you know what, pencils down. And you have planned as much as you can plan, and you've done everything that you can do to make this experience be the experience you want it to be for yourself, for your partner, for your guests. Trust the work that you've done, and trust that pencils down point, and give in and enjoy yourself. It's going to go by in a flash. Enjoy every bit of it, and little stuff will happen. Be flexible to those, and know that once you got to that pencils down point, you're done. Now it's time for you to have a really, really great time. My heart goes out to all of you planning your weddings in this environment, and I really wish the best to each of you for a beautiful wedding and for long, prosperous, happy marriages. So good luck and congratulations to all of you.
Oh!
You're so silly on me.
Thank you very much for that. No, yeah, it is awesome. I'm sitting here looking, and I just took a little snapshot. Not that I'm going to do anything with it. I'll ask y'all if I could post it later or whatever. But this is beautiful. Like, I'm sitting here looking like, look at all this. Like, this is like what I wanted. I'm really happy to be able to just help be there, but also see you guys seeing each other and working with each other and communicating with each other is just, this is what it's for. Like, this is why I do this, y'all. Like, this is why I do this. Okay. But yes, I do. It's a crazy time. So it's nice to be able, and I appreciate you guys for joining with everything that you guys have been going on with your lives right now, right? There's so much going on, and I'm just gonna do my best to try to add a little bit of some fun and some goodness to it and keep the positivity and keep your eye on it, on the prize. So yes, Alicia, thank you for that.
Omi, I have a question. It's actually specifically for Alicia. Is it Alicia or Alicia?
Yeah.
Sia. Okay, that's how we say it in Jamaica. Anyhow, I remember.
Hey.
See? That's why. Okay, so it's not about the ceremony, but I remember when you were talking about your dress and about steaming it, and you said Alicia was the one who steamed it, and you had a lot of frills. And so, you know, there was someone who asked about whether it would be, if they could use the steamer that's in the room versus how, you know, how important it was to bring a steamer for themselves.
And I'm gonna open this while you're talking too, while I'm.
Okay. And just in terms of how difficult it was, or how easy, if there were a lot of layers, and how was it just steaming the dress, and, you know, how was that?
Watch how you talk about my gown too.
So y'all have seen Omi's gown, and yes, like it has all the frills and the layers have been packed in like a vacuum sealed bag. So when it comes out, you need to prepare yourself for what this is gonna look like.
No, I did it. I did it on camera. Packed it, so they know.
I remember when I saw the dress, and I was like, "Oh, it's beautiful. Where are you getting married again?" But it worked out. It worked out perfectly. Couple things. So I actually brought my own personal steamer. My mom and my sister-in-law had steamed my dress for my wedding. It's a little. I'll go grab it after I finish this. It's in the closet. It's maybe about that big. So I had to refill it a bunch of times to finish the dress, but the advantage to using your own is that you know what it can do, and you know where it's been. So in the hotel, like I've seen irons. My husband is a stickler for ironing, so we experience irons in all of our travels. And sometimes, like, you know, you go to use the iron, like some brown water or stuff comes out, and you would hate to get that on your dress. So that was the advantage to bring my own. Plus, a lot of times if you're using an iron, even if it has a steam function, it really works best when the iron is like parallel to whatever you're ironing. The actual steamer, I plugged it in and I could hold it upright, so the dress was hanging, and then I could do the steaming kind of in a vertical pattern. The one thing I'd be careful of, the one I used, so it wasn't like a super expensive one or anything. I think I bought it at Target. It did kind of leak water as you were using it. So depending on the fabric of the dress, if your dress is satin or something where you're gonna see water, see, here she goes. Her dress is perfectly steamed. She didn't even know.
Oh no! Now that I think about it, it was a problem.
I tested, so I would spot test as well before and see how it goes before. But it did leak. Most of the water leaked on the floor, by the way, not on your dress. So okay. It was me trying not to kill myself on the marble floor in the room. But yeah, so just be mindful of the material. If your dress is satin, or if it's something where it's going to show watermarks, I would have a different plan maybe. But especially if it's a fabric that's going to be more forgiving, you can probably do that. And it's really important to steam like the outside layer, but you really want to get the inside layers nicely steamed so that the dress stands up the way it's supposed to. There's no sense in doing the outside if you don't do the inner layer. Yeah, so that it stands up the way it's supposed to.
Yay, that's so real. And it lived, y'all. It's wrinkled, but so yeah, I may end up playing around and doing it. I have a steamer here that I've played with and other stuff, so I might play around with that one day. See, get Doug to help.
It really wasn't too bad, and it actually makes for some nice pictures. I have beautiful pictures of my mom and my sister-in-law, like in there steaming my dress that morning. I had a good time steaming Omi's dress, getting to visualize her in this dress and really thinking about her getting married, and just a really nice moment. So I'd recommend.
Right now, we got okay. Don't. Oh, well, I appreciate that. I wish we had photos of that. Honestly, that's what I talked about. But I appreciate that, and thank you for sharing that. And Keon, great question. So yeah, I think it worked out. So I'll give my review on that. But you saw what happened. It made it, and it's been in there for a month. Now, can you store it? That question was asked, and I'll answer that. No, you can't do this long term. No is the answer to that. But yeah, it lived. So yay. Thank y'all. I'm excited. Y'all see my gal. Look at my gal. I'm gonna get back in this one day. It's gonna happen.
Can I ask where and when everyone's getting married? I'm sorry if you did that at the beginning. I'm just curious. Where and when?
Keon. Keon is a lover. Keon is a future Desti bride. So she knows all about you. She knows all about everything. She's.
I'm just prepping. That's what that is. And enjoying and celebrating. So
you know what? You'll have all the education and the knowledge when it's time. So that's awesome.
Right.
Jazz.
I am getting married August 7th, 2021 in Punta Cana at Secrets Cap Cana. And some exciting news, my mom was here this weekend in Philly, and I said yes to the dress this weekend.
Yay! Congrats!
Thank you.
Oh, that's so exciting. Yay! Oh, that's great. Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah, we've been to your resort too, a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nancy?
So we haven't made the final decision yet on the exact location, but we are going to do Cinco de Mayo, which is May 5th, but we pushed it to 2022 because of everything that's going on. And a lot of brides from 2020 got switched to 2021, and Cinco de Mayo is actually the day that we met 13 years ago. So we want to keep that date. So that date is really special. And right now I'm looking at the Hyatt Ziva, and I'm working with Sarah. So she's actually going there, and she's going to give me some reviews. So it's between the Hyatt Ziva and the Royalton in Cancun, because I want to be on the hotel zone part of Cancun, so our guests will have something else to do and they can just walk out and go see different things like that. So that's who we are.
That's awesome.
Question for you, Nancy. Have you watched any of the reviews on YouTube by Trips with Angie? She's like a huge lover of like Hyatt Ziva and Hyatt Zilara. So if you look up Trips with Angie, she probably has a great review for Hyatt Ziva.
I'm going to check her out. I might have already seen it because I've been looking at every wedding the Ziva has done.
I was the same way. I watch every video that exists, I've seen.
I'm in the bed at night and my fiance is looking at me like, okay, are you looking at another wedding? And I'm like, oh yeah, this is just another couple. Let me just watch this. Let me just see this view. So
happy in the end that you did the homework. So,
right.
But I'm gonna check out Trips with Angie. You said?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna check her out. Make sure I seen it. If I didn't, I'm gonna watch. If I did, I'm gonna watch it again.
Good. Yeah. I'm grabbing her info now. So Trips with Angie. All right. Alexis, are you on? And we can't see you, but.
I am. Hi.
Can you just tell us where you're getting, well, clearly I know, but tell us where you're getting married and all that good stuff, and then, so.
I am getting married June 2nd, 2021, and we're getting married in Riviera Maya, Mexico at the now Dreams Now Natura. It was not now. It's just Dreams Natura now. It was now Natura, but it just updated to a Dreams Resort. So
I know you were wondering about that. So it's
yes. So now it's a Dreams Resort.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, yes, thank you ladies so very much. I said I was gonna do before, but I'm gonna drop a poll to see what you guys would like to. I'm just gonna put all my ideas and let y'all vote on them. Please vote. I know I love that you guys are here and you participate, but also let me know what y'all want to, because I need to know that. Or I'll just keep making up stuff because I got plenty of material. So yes, but thank you guys. Love y'all. Stay safe. Wear your mask. I don't care. Put one on because you're getting married or you're just here to enjoy and have this great life and be healthy, please. So yes, do that. Stay safe. Stay beautiful and black and all that great stuff. Oh, I guess everybody's not black. I just made that up. Yeah, but yeah, y'all know what I'm saying. It's all love. So so yeah. So I'll see y'all next week. Next week probably will be either photography, probably reception. I think I'm gonna jump, since we did ceremony, I'm gonna do reception. And so yeah, so y'all will see that, but we're back on the Thursdays at 6. So love y'all. Bye. Now I get to end that.